Namaskar, I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Welcome to Global Scan, your one-stop destination for all the roundup of major global developments of the week. All eyes were on the final presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden ahead of US elections. Host of issues including the pandemic, economy, racism, foreign policy, healthcare and climate change figured in the debate. All the action from the Champions League. See how Real Madrid is stunned by the newbie Shakhtar Donetsk. In the historic achievement, NASA spacecraft touches down on the surface of an asteroid. All that and more in Global Scan today. Also, we are introducing a new segment, Beyond Headlines, where we bring inspiring stories of people all around us. Watch out for that. Let's roll the top stories. First, US President Donald Trump and Democrat challenger Joe Biden. Last and final face-to-face debate concludes in Nashville. Host of issues including COVID and climate change discussed. Trump says COVID vaccine within weeks. Biden says people responsible for so many COVID deaths should quit. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wins backing of opposition party to avoid snap elections. Legislators vote 180 to 146 against the motion from Conservatives, Trudeau's main rivals, to set up a committee. France posthumously honors slain history teacher Samuel Paty with highest civilian award, Legion d'Honneur, at Sorbonne ceremony. 47 years old, a teacher beheaded by suspected Islamist. NASA spacecraft touches down on the rugged surface of Bennu asteroid. Scientists say Bennu could hold clues to the origins of life on Earth. Liverpool's Champions League win over Ajax steadied Klopp's side after a rocky week. Real Madrid stunned by Shakhtar Donetsk. Bayern Munich defeats Atletico Madrid 4-0. And first up, news from Americas. Now, the ongoing pandemic took center stage in the US presidential debate, and why not? US continues to be the worst COVID-affected nation in the world. Now, while Biden pledged to end the pandemic, Trump gave his own example to say that America has the strength to recover and survive the crisis. From foreign policy to healthcare to racial violence to personal accusations on income tax, the debate had it all. Here's what happened in the final showdown between the two leaders, one of whom will occupy the most powerful office in the world. Next.
The much-awaited final US presidential debate took place on Thursday ahead of November 3 election. A host of issues including COVID-19, economy, racism, foreign policy, healthcare and climate change figured during the debate between President Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The debate was less chaotic this time as compared to earlier clashes. Both were allowed 2 uninterrupted minutes to respond to each segment. US President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden offered sharply contrasting views on coronavirus pandemic, seeking to persuade the few remaining undecided voters just 12 days before the election.
You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are 2 companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very well. And we have numerous others. And we also have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this is new information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular that's the head of logistics. And this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day, and there are over 70,000 new cases per day. Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead. If we just wore these masks, the President's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. And we're in a circumstance where the President thus far and still has no plan, no comprehensive plan.
Biden also alleged that foreign countries are trying to interfere in US elections and they will have to pay a price. Trump, while responding to the allegations, said there has been nobody tougher than him on Russia.
I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price if I'm elected.
To the first part, as Joe answered, Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife, and you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million, and, you know, someday you're going to have to explain.
US President Donald Trump repeated his accusation that his rival Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and his son Hunter engaged in unethical practices in China and Ukraine. Biden called them false and discredited. He defended his family and said he had never made a single penny from a foreign country. On climate change issue, Donald Trump said that he won't sacrifice tens of millions of jobs because of the Paris Climate Accord. The president defended his decision to pull out of Paris Climate Accord, saying that it would have destroyed the business. Biden said his environment plan would transition from the oil industry in favor of renewable energy sources. The televised encounter represented one of the Republican Trump's last remaining opportunities to reshape a campaign dominated by pandemic. Though Trump trails former Vice President significantly in national polls, the contest is much tighter in some battleground states where the election will likely be decided. Global Scan Desk, DD India.
And meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau survived a confidence vote on Wednesday after key opposition party backed his ruling Liberals, blocking the chance of a snap election as coronavirus outbreak worsens. Legislators voted 180 to 146 against a motion from Conservatives, Trudeau's main rivals, to set up a committee to probe whether Ottawa improperly handled the contracts to friends as it battled the pandemic earlier this year. Trudeau won only a minority of seats in House of Commons in an election a year ago, needed the support of other parliamentarians to survive. The left-leaning New Democrats backed the Liberals, saying the House of Commons should keep working to help Canadians harmed by the pandemic. The result means Canadians will be spared a snap elections as winter approaches and the country faces a second wave of COVID-19 infections. The creation of committees is usually a low-key affair, but Trudeau pushed to make Conservative proposal a matter of confidence, placing his political survival on the line. Moving on, joyful and excited scientists described the moment when NASA spacecraft touched down on the rugged surface of Bennu asteroid, grabbing a sample of rocks dating back to the birth of our solar system to bring home. The minivan-sized Osiris-Rex spacecraft extended its some 11 feet robotic arm towards a flat patch of gravel near Bennu's North Pole, plugged the sample of rocks, the space agency's first handful of pristine asteroid rocks. Scientists say Bennu could in fact hold clues to the origins of life on Earth. They believe asteroids and comets crashing into early Earth may have delivered some organic compounds and water that seeded the planet for life. Bennu is located over 100 million miles from Earth and whose acorn-shaped body formed in early days of our solar system. Let's now look at news coming in from Europe. France posthumously honored the slain history teacher Samuel Paty with the highest civilian award, Légion d'honneur, at Sorbonne ceremony. French President Emmanuel Macron paid tributes to the teacher. Samuel Paty, killed in a suspected Islamist terror attack, deeming him the face of the Republic. Macron said France will continue its fight for liberty and that teachers will continue to be supported by the government. And the teacher was murdered on October 16th in broad daylight outside of his school in a middle-class Paris suburb by an 18-year-old Chechen origin person. Police shot the attacker dead. The teenager sought to avenge his victim's use of caricatures of Prophet Muhammad in a class on freedom of expression. Muslims believe that any depiction of the Prophet is blasphemous. The murder shocked France and carried echoes of an attack 5 years ago on the offices of satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. Public figures called the killing an attack on the Republic and on French values. France will ban an Islamist group named after the late Sheikh Yassin as part of a crackdown on militants following the murder of the French school teacher, government spokesman Gabriel Attal informed. Moving on, news coming in from Asia. India will be hosting the third India-US 2+2 ministerial dialogue on 27th October in New Delhi. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Secretary of Defense Mark T. Esper will be visiting India on 26th and 27th October to participate in this dialogue. From the Indian side, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will lead the delegations from the Ministries of Defense and External Affairs.
27th of October, and for this dialogue the US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo and the Secretary of Defense Mark Esper will be visiting India on the 26th and 27th of October. RM and EM would be leading the delegations from the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of External Affairs respectively for this dialogue.
The first 2+2 ministerial dialogues were held in New Delhi in September of 2018 and in Washington in 2019. The agenda for the third dialogue will cover all bilateral, regional, global issues of mutual interest. While addressing the nation, Armenian Prime Minister has said he saw no possibility of diplomatic solution at this stage of conflict with Azerbaijan over the mountain enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh. His comments increased the doubts over a diplomatic push by major powers to bring peace to the South Caucasus region. Not all stories make it to the headlines, but they are still special, inspiring and transformative. Now a closer look at stories of people and the world around us, stories beyond headlines.
Artist Tammy Broch's playful art installation in the heart of London's Mayfair aims to create a joy bomb as an antidote to tough times. Found at a ground floor window at a pop-up installation opposite the world-famous Claridge's, the colourful interactive exhibit has caught the attention of locals and those who work nearby. 38-year-old Broch, who lost her husband in May, was motivated by creating fun for fun's sake in a time of uncertainty and personal trauma. An 80-year-old retired British Army major is attempting to row 100 miles in a boat he built from corrugated iron to raise money for a hospice, following in the footsteps or the wake of record-breaking fundraiser Captain Tom Moore. Michael Stanley, also known as Major Meg, said he constructed the vessel during the COVID-19 lockdown. He was inspired by boats he had seen used by children in India. Stanley started rowing the boat, which is named Titanic, along the canal in West Sussex, southern England last month. He's worked out the boat travels around 2 miles an hour and completing a 3-mile trip in around 90 minutes. Stanley is doing 2 much trips every week until he completes his challenge, which is benefiting the local St. Wilfrid's Hospice. An officer in the Royal Scots Dragon Guards for 35 years, Major Mick has already raised £12,000, beating his original £1,000 target. The 22-year-old finds the words to express what she felt when she reached the peak of Mount Olympus. Who has disabilities and has used a wheelchair all her life, reached the highest mountain in Greece with the help of 28-year-old Marios, a long-distance endurance runner. As lives got upended by an actual pandemic, the organizers of Mexico City's annual zombie walk had to brainstorm an alternative to the annual procession, and they decided to go virtual instead of the usual single-day parade. Mexicans costumed as zombies have been uploading videos of themselves onto social media. If it's the Day of the Dead in Mexico, you are certain to see the bright orange flowers of the Mexican marigold decorating streets. Marigolds, known as the flower of the dead, it is believed that their scent is used to attract the souls and draw them back. In Bali, two sisters kicked off a movement, Utopia, which aims to connect and empower like-minded youth across the world. Inspired by the great stories of Nelson Mandela, Lady Diana and Mahatma Gandhi in school, the sisters thought what they could do for the environment as they were upset about the plastic waste, climate change. According to these sisters, it's the utmost urgent issue in the modern world, and they urge the policymakers to take swift action to tackle the problem. Nearly a decade ago, they started an initiative, Buy Plastic Bags, to reduce plastic bag use and hope to educate the local communities about the plastic waste. Demi Lovato unapologetically sings about the present state of American politics in new single Commander-in-Chief just before the US elections. The music video shows people miming to Lovato's lyrics that include "Won't give up, stand our ground, we'll be in the streets while you bumping down." Out now, the American singer-songwriter performed the ballad at the Billboard Music Awards. Live music is returning to Brazil, but the dance floors have undergone a major transformation to ensure safe fun as the threat of the COVID-19 looms. Socially distanced boxes sections of groups of fans from each other, replacing the heaving dance floors at Rio's outdoor concerts as organizers navigate new COVID-19 safe regulations.
And as countries around the world face the pandemic, here's all that happened this week in the fight against COVID-19.
The World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus has said that 184 countries have now joined the COVAX facility, which aims to finance COVID-19 vaccines to be distributed fairly to both rich and poor countries. Addressing a briefing, the WHO chief has called for equitable sharing of vaccines to safeguard high-risk communities, stabilize health systems and drive global economic recovery. WHO DG has cautioned that when we let our guard down, the virus can surge back at breakneck speed and threaten hospitals and health systems.
The virus has shown that when we let our guard down, it can surge back at breakneck speed and threaten hospitals and health systems. On 9 October, I shared that 171 countries and economies were part of the Gavi, CEPI, and WHO-led COVAX initiative for vaccine access. I'm pleased to announce today that now 184 countries have now joined COVAX. The most recent countries joining over the weekend are Ecuador and Uruguay. COVAX represents the largest portfolio of potential COVID-19 vaccines and the most effective way to share safe and effective vaccines equitably across the world.
COVAX is a massive global undertaking, says UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore. She added, one that demands an equally massive effort to save lives, to save communities. UNICEF would help distribute the eventual vaccine. UNICEF's distribution would reach 170 countries and involve over 2 billion doses of an eventual vaccine by 2021. Under the WHO's COVID-19 vaccine plans, known as COVAX, poor countries are eligible to access vaccines at lower or no costs until the end of 2021. The COVAX group includes European Union nations, China, and also middle-income states such as Argentina, Iran, Iraq, South Africa and Mexico.
COVAX is a massive global undertaking, one that demands an equally massive effort to save lives, to save communities, and to address the most devastating pandemic in generations. UNICEF is proud to be on the front lines of this historic effort.
India continues to perform exceptionally well in the fight against COVID-19. India has leaped across several significant milestones in its fight against COVID-19. It continues to report a trend of steadily declining active cases and improving recovered cases. COVID-19 cases on oxygen support in ICUs through ventilators and oxygen-supported beds have shown a significant decrease since the last week of September. Italy has announced a new raft of measures to tighten restrictions amid a surge in coronavirus cases. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte said the measures were needed to avoid a new lockdown. He added that the mayors will get powers to close public areas after 9 p.m. and the opening times of restaurants and the size of groups allowed will tighten. The moves come as Italy recorded its highest daily infection rate for the second day in a row. Outbound COVID-19 tests have been launched at Heathrow Airport, returning results in an hour in an effort to reopen restricted routes for passengers and boost traffic for airlines that fly there. Britain is looking at ways to reduce the 14-day quarantine period, which applies to some arriving passengers using a mix of COVID-19 testing and self-isolation, and a task force looking at the issue will report back in November. South Africa's Health Minister, Zweli Mkhize, and his wife tested positive for COVID-19. Mkhize was tested after showing mild symptoms, and his office confirmed the news on Sunday. Sister Sledge's We Are Family took on a whole new meaning in the global battle against the coronavirus at a WHO launch on Monday. The 1979 pop song that member Kim Sledge sang with her sisters is being re-released by the singer and the social impact enterprise The World We Want, with part of the funds going towards the WHO Foundation to support the response to COVID-19. The We Are Family music video will be released December 7th.
And time now for all the action from the world of sports, Champions League and more.
Premier League champions Liverpool were helped by an own goal to get off to a winning start in the Champions League against Ajax. Jurgen Klopp's injury-hit side were tested by Ajax but did enough to leave Amsterdam with a clean sheet. Nicolas Tagliafico sliced Sadio Mane's cross into his own net with 10 minutes of the first half remaining. Real Madrid made an embarrassing start in the Champions League on Wednesday by losing 3-2 at home to a depleted Shakhtar Donetsk. Shakhtar were without 10 first-team players due to coronavirus infections, but recorded a remarkable win after scoring 3 times in 13 first-half minutes. It was Real's second consecutive defeat ahead of the Clásico against Barcelona on Saturday. Bayern Munich began the Champions League campaign with an emphatic victory against Atletico Madrid. The defending champions clinched a 4-0 win at Allianz Arena on Wednesday, courtesy of wonder goals by Kingsley Coman, Leon Goretzka and Corentin Tolisso. Lionel Messi became the first player to score in 16 consecutive Champions League seasons as he guided 10-man Barcelona to a 5-1 victory over Hungarian side Ferencváros in their Group G opener at the Camp Nou. Messi netted from the penalty shot in the first half for his 116th career goal in the competition, before the lively Ansu Fati added a second. 17-year-old Pedri netted his first Barca goal after arriving from the second-tier Las Palmas at the start of the season, and Ousmane Dembele added the fifth late on. Marcus Rashford fired Manchester United to another memorable victory at Paris Saint-Germain as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men started their Champions League campaign with a bang. After a season away from European football's top table, the Red Devils returned to action at the Parc des Princes, where just 19 months ago they secured one of their greatest ever comebacks in the competition. Alvaro Morata scored twice as Andrea Pirlo's Juventus opened their Champions League campaign with victory at Dynamo Kiev. Juve were without Cristiano Ronaldo following his positive coronavirus test and initially struggled in his absence. Lazio marked their return to the Champions League group stage with a win. The Italians saw off Borussia Dortmund 3-1 at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. Lazio's Ciro Immobile scored against his former club Borussia Dortmund in a 3-1 home victory, marking their return to the Champions League group phase after a 13-year absence. Jude Bellingham became the youngest English player to play in the competition. Manchester United's revenue dropped by almost a fifth because the team did not play in the Champions League and because it was forced to close its stadium to fans during the coronavirus pandemic. England's white ball tour of South Africa next month will go ahead after it was given the green signal by the South African government. England will play 3 T20s and 3 one-day internationals from the 27th of November, all behind closed doors.
You're watching Global Scan, and we now bring you all the drama, glitz, glamour from the world of showbiz.
Fans of some of the biggest blockbusters from the past decades will soon be able to recreate their favorite scenes at home as nearly 1,000 pieces of movie memorabilia go on sale in an online auction. Iconic items are for grabs in the Pops to Entertainment Memorabilia live auction in early December include the thigh-high glossy patent leather boots worn by Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, Tom Cruise's Top Gun bomber jacket, a remote control R2-S8 droid from Star Wars Solo, A Star Wars Story, and a special effects mechanical alien head from the 1979 hit movie Alien. The registration for the sale will take place online, and online proxy bids can be submitted when the auction catalog goes online on 29th October.
It's an instinct. A feeling.
Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2 premiere has come out with a fresh special look. The makers have released a new small video giving fresh footages from The Mandalorian Season 2. It shows them teaming up with his old colleagues in order to reunite the child, also known as Baby Yoda, to his kind. The Mandalorian Season 2 will be streaming on Disney Plus from 30th October this year.
No one does.
Netflix subscribers will have the chance to watch more authentic portrayals of African characters rather than what usually gets produced in Hollywood, with 2 new films from the continent appearing on the streaming service this month.
Everyday people involved in poaching.
Justin Bieber sings about his early career and how he felt lonely in the new track with Benny Blanco released. The music video, directed by Jake, shows a teenage Bieber lookalike played by Room actor Jacob looking into a dressing room mirror before being called up on the stage. The boy plays with a hockey stick and ball before taking to the stairs as Bieber sings that he hopes the song encourages others to express how they are feeling when the times get tough.
And with that, we conclude this edition of Global Scan. As we close, we leave you with these images of world this week. Take care. See you soon.